Today I want to talk about Kansas head coaching candidates and all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to talk a little bit about who should be the next head coach for the Kansas Jayhawks football program after Les Miles and Kansas agreed to mutually part ways after a scandal that you can go read about, USA Today, involving LSU, Les Miles, and a disastrous failing. But let's talk about where they're going to go from here, because Kansas has not been good at football basically since 2007. And Mark Mangino managed to sort of kind of mess that up too. But they were good, right? That Todd Reesing team was one of my favorites because nobody expected Kansas to be playing in an Orange Bowl at all. But I think there are only two names for me that I would make a phone call to right away. And both of them have ties to Kansas. And both of those guys have proven that they know how to do this. I think you should go with an offensive-minded head coach. I think you should go with a young head coach. And I think you should give him an extended contract to try to build this thing the way that he would like to build this thing. And the first name on that list for me is a guy that was just there in Brent Dearman. Dearman took a job as an offensive coordinator at Middle Tennessee after being the offensive coordinator at Kansas. It was really weird to think about. And also the first real problem that I saw with Kansas football, when you got your offensive coordinator taking a job at Middle Tennessee after what he had done for them, you got some problems there. So let's just talk about what he has been since basically being the offensive coordinator at Arkansas Tech since 2014, or back in 2014. All right, so he takes a job after at Bethel after his squad at Arkansas Tech had racked up 36.5 points per game and 458 yards per game. The Wonder Boys were decent to outstanding offensively in that year. Becomes a head coach at Bethel in 2018. In one season, guided them to their best season ever. BU went 10-0 and finished number 3, or achieved a rank of number 3 in the country, while averaging 540.3 yards per game. That's the second best scoring average in the country, also with 55 points per game. He was the Mid-South Conference Coach of the Year, and then he's hired on as a senior offensive consultant at Kansas, eventually moving into the play calling job. And the most memorable game, I think, of his career so far is the Jayhawks turning up 569 yards of offense at Texas, followed by 527 yards of offense in a win against Texas Tech. And they were this close to beating that Texas team that was celebrating their 1969 national championship team. And now he is Middle Tennessee offensive coordinator. I think if you offered him the job and you weren't cheap about it, you can go get that guy. The other guy that I think you should be thinking about is Lincoln Riley's little brother, Garrett. Garrett Riley is the offensive coordinator at SMU right now, and Shane Buechele and that offense were pretty doggone good. They were 9th in the country in red zone offense, scoring 92% of the time. They were 12th in total offense with 494.5 yards per game, so nearly 500 yards a game, and then 13th in passing offense per game with 318 yards. They achieved 500 yards of offense in 6 of 10 games and finished 46 of 50 inside the red zone. Again, 92%. And he was an AFCA 35 under 35 coaches leadership institute dude. And before that, right, he was at Appalachian State as running backs coach, which is traditionally a recruiter's job. So you know that he can do a little bit of that in a year where the Mountaineers went 13-1, won the Sun Belt. And of course, Eli Drinkwitz take the job at Missouri. Also before that, he had been working with ECU, spending the 2015 season as the outside receivers coach, in 2013, 2014 as an offensive assistant. One of his standout receivers was Zay Jones, 98 passes for 1,000 yards in 2015, and that dude broke the FBS career receptions record with 399 catches in a career. Graduated from Texas Tech in 2012 and obviously comes from a pretty outstanding gene pool. So I wanted to go through those two dudes to start with, but also let's bear in mind Kansas has not been good. Kansas would love to be good because Kansas is one of the worst Power 5 football programs in America. Like, I put Kansas underneath Vanderbilt based on how Vanderbilt feels about itself right now, hiring the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame and Clark Lee, adding a dude that I really have so much respect for in roster management and Barton Simmons as general manager. And they're in the SEC, which is just a cut above the Big 12. If Kansas were good at football, then you are actually decent 1 through 10 in the Big 12 because West Virginia can hold their own. Kansas State, ask Oklahoma about them. Texas Christian, Baylor, those folks have held their own in years past. And we know what Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Texas, and the like are able to do. Say nothing of Iowa State that won a major bowl for the first time in its history last year, the Fiesta Bowl. So give Garrett Riley a call. But before that, give Brent Dearman a call. I hope one of those guys answers the phone for you. But even if you don't go with one of those guys, please go with someone who's young, go with someone who's going to put up some points, go with someone who likes to recruit, and go with someone who really believes that there is a sleeping giant out there in Lawrence, Kansas. I think this can be a job where somebody can win and achieve, but it's going to take some forward thinking. It's going to take a reevaluation of what is important. And knowing that you're using a search firm to do this, I'm not certain that either one of these guys are going to get a phone call because who knows what the search firm is going to come up with candidates. But I implore you, take a look at those guys. I think they're great coaches. I think they're great offensive minds. And I think they can help Kansas become respectable, if not borderline good. That's it for me. Deuces.